9 Stoic signs that you should end every contact, even if it is your family or a friend. Stoicism. He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe. Marcus Aurelius once said, and part of living in harmony is knowing when to let go of relationships that disrupt our inner peace. Today we're discussing a vital topic. 9 Stoic signs that you should end every contact, even if it is your family or a friend. Have you ever faced a situation where you had to end a relationship for your peace of mind? What was the sign that pushed you to make that decision? Let's discuss and support each other in making these tough choices, because sometimes cutting ties might just be the step you need to take towards true personal freedom and happiness. Stay tuned as we explore these 9 critical signs together. One, avoid people who boast excessively. Boasting is often a mask for insecurity and can distort the reality of our achievements and our human connections. As the Roman philosopher Seneca once advised, associate with people who are likely to improve you. When someone in your circle constantly boasts, it reflects a deeper issue, an attachment to past glories that overshadows the present. This behavior not only strains relationships, but also stunts personal growth by focusing on what was, rather than what is or could be. It begs the question, why do people boast? Often, it's not just to impress others, but to convince themselves of their worth. This excessive self-promotion can be a barrier to genuine self-improvement and meaningful connections. Boasting can turn social interactions into a one-sided affair where conversations revolve around the boaster's achievements, real or exaggerated. This leaves little room for mutual exchange or growth and can lead to a lack of depth in relationships. Think about the last time you conversed with someone who constantly talked about their own successes. Did it feel like a genuine interaction, or did it seem more like a monologue? Moreover, excessive boasting often comes with comparisons that can instill feelings of inadequacy or jealousy in others. This not only affects the emotional climate of interactions, but can also lead to resentment and discomfort. Aristotle noted, wishing to be friends is quick work, but friendship is a slow, ripening fruit. Genuine friendships thrive on mutual respect and shared experiences, not on one-upmanship or contests of achievement. It is essential, then, to consider the impact of these relationships on your well-being. Do they inspire you, or do they leave you feeling diminished? Stoicism teaches us the importance of surrounding ourselves with positivity and people who inspire us to be our best selves. If someone's excessive boasting is more discouraging than inspiring, it may be a sign that the relationship lacks the depth and support you need. What can you do if you find yourself in the company of a chronic boaster? First, try steering the conversation towards more inclusive topics that encourage a two-way dialogue. If this approach fails, it might be necessary to reassess the value of maintaining such relationships. As Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Therefore, surrounding yourself with people who contribute positively to your thoughts and life is crucial. In conclusion, while we all enjoy celebrating our successes, a life well lived is not measured by a tally of achievements, but by the quality of our relationships and our capacity for personal growth. Excessive boasting can hinder both. So, reflect on this. Are the relationships in your life marked by mutual respect and growth, or are they overshadowed by the constant need for one person to shine? The answer might guide you towards more fulfilling interactions and a more contented life. Remember, true contentment comes from appreciating the present and looking forward to the future, not just reliving past glories. 2. Avoid those who continually complain about themselves. Now let's consider why constant complaining is problematic. Essentially, it sets a tone of negativity that can permeate through all interactions, making it challenging to enjoy any time spent together. Constant complainers often fail to recognize their own role in their misfortunes and instead see themselves as perpetual victims of circumstance. This lack of self-awareness and responsibility can be tiresome, and over time, can transform even the most patient listener into an unwilling emotional dumping ground. Have you ever noticed how you feel after spending time with someone who only talks about their problems? It's likely you feel exhausted, perhaps even somewhat depressed, as if their negativity is contagious. This is not an unusual phenomenon. Emotions can be highly infectious, and continually negative conversations can have a significant impact on your mental well-being. Seneca wisely noted, "Associating with people in large doses is harmful." There is much truth in this when it comes to those who are perpetually dissatisfied. When you find yourself in the company of someone who continually complains, it's important to reflect on the value this relationship adds to your life. Does this person also offer support, joy, or comfort? Or are your interactions overwhelmingly negative? Often, the healthiest choice might be to distance yourself from this constant negativity. It is not only a protective measure for your peace of mind, but also a boundary that could prompt the other person to reflect on how they interact with the world around them. Moreover, think about how this relationship affects your perspective on your own life. Are you finding yourself more cynical, less grateful, or less optimistic than you used to be? The people we surround ourselves with can significantly influence our outlook on life. As the saying goes, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If those people are constant complainers, there's a good chance their gloomy outlook could start to darken your own. In resetting your boundaries with chronic complainers, it's crucial to communicate openly and honestly. Perhaps a conversation where you express your feelings could be a wake-up call for them to realize the impact of their behavior. However, remember that you cannot change anyone who does not see an issue in their actions. Sometimes the best course of action is to step back and focus on relationships that are more reciprocally supportive and positive. Now, ask yourself, how many of your current relationships are weighed down by incessant negativity? What changes might you consider to ensure that your emotional environment is one that fosters well-being, growth, and positivity? Remember, it's not just about cutting people out of your life. It's about ensuring that the relationships you choose to invest in are those that bring out the best in both you and your companions. In conclusion, while it's important to be there for friends in need, it's equally important to ensure that you're not being overwhelmed by negativity. Maintaining a balance in relationships where there is mutual sharing of both joys and burdens is key to healthy interactions. So take a moment to reflect on your social circle. Are your relationships draining you or enriching you? The answer to this question could significantly influence your approach to personal interactions and ultimately, your overall happiness. 3. Avoid people who keep talking about the same worries. Have you ever been in a situation where a friend or family member repeats the same worries over and over again? It's a common scenario that many of us face. And while it's natural to seek comfort, there comes a point when endless rumination becomes unproductive and emotionally draining. Stoicism teaches us the value of resilience and the importance of focusing on what we can control. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This principle is particularly relevant when dealing with people who incessantly discuss the same issues without any intent to resolve them or move forward. Such behaviors can create a toxic cycle of negativity that not only hampers their ability to resolve their issues but also begins to weigh heavily on you. Consider this. A friend repeatedly tells you about their unhappiness at work. Each time you meet, the conversation circles back to the same set of frustrations. You offer advice, suggest practical steps, and even help them explore other job possibilities. Despite your efforts, your friend never takes any action and continues to rehash the same complaints. This situation isn't just frustrating, it's also an emotional drain, pulling you into a vortex of negativity that can be hard to escape from. Now, why is it critical to recognize and address such situations? Because, as Epictetus suggests, we are not disturbed by what happens to us, but by our thoughts about what happens to us. When someone focuses solely on their problems without working towards a solution, it not only stagnates their personal growth, but also impacts those around them. As a true friend, your role isn't just to provide a sympathetic ear, but also to encourage positive action. But what can you do if sincere advice and encouragement fall on deaf ears? It might be time to consider setting boundaries. Boundaries are not about pushing people away, but about safeguarding your own emotional health. Engaging in the same repetitive conversations can be exhausting, and it's essential to recognize when to take a step back. Moreover, ask yourself how these interactions affect your view of your own challenges. Do they inspire you to tackle your problems head-on, or do they drag you into a state of inaction? The company we keep has a profound influence on our attitudes and behaviors. As the saying goes, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. If your circle is dominated by individuals who dwell on problems rather than seeking solutions, it might be time to rethink these connections. In conclusion, while empathy and support are crucial components of any relationship, they must be balanced with encouragement towards positive action. If conversations consistently lack this balance, it may be necessary to reevaluate these relationships and prioritize those that contribute to mutual growth and happiness. After all, the goal of friendship should be to lift each other up, not hold each other back. So, reflect on this. Are the conversations with your friends enriching your life, or are they merely adding to your burdens? The answer to this question could guide you towards more fulfilling and supportive relationships. If you've watched until now, you're clearly dedicated to refining your character. Drop a comment below with "Elevate" to affirm your commitment to high standards. Don't go yet. There's more wisdom to come. 4. Avoid people who take promises lightly or break them easily. Imagine you have a friend or a colleague who frequently makes commitments, yet almost always fails to follow through. Initially, you might excuse these breaches as mere oversights or the result of a busy schedule. However, over time, a pattern emerges that suggests something more ingrained than a packed calendar. This habitual unreliability isn't just an annoying trait. It's a profound statement about how much or how little they value their relationships and the people within them. This situation poses an important question. What does it truly mean to respect someone? At its core, respect involves acknowledging the value of others and treating their time and efforts as precious. When someone habitually breaks promises, they send a clear message that they do not hold your time or your expectations in high regard. It's crucial, then, to recognize this behavior not as a minor flaw, but as a significant insight into their character. Furthermore, in the modern fast-paced world, our time is one of the most valuable assets we have. Every broken promise is not just a missed appointment or a postponed plan. It's a wasted opportunity where you could have engaged in more fulfilling or productive activities. The old adage, "Time is money," rings particularly true here. But it's more than that. Time is also the medium through which we live our lives and realize our true potential. When deciding how to manage relationships with people who frequently break promises, consider the advice of Epictetus. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Listen to their actions as much as you would to their words. Actions, after all, can speak volumes about a person's true priorities and values. If someone's actions consistently show disregard for their commitments, it might be time to reassess their place in your life. What steps can you take if you find yourself repeatedly disappointed by someone's broken promises? First, address the issue directly. Communicating your feelings can sometimes prompt a change. However, if the behavior continues despite your efforts, it may be necessary to create distance. This isn't about holding a grudge, but rather about protecting your own emotional and mental health. In conclusion, while it is human to err and occasionally miss a commitment, a pattern of broken promises should not be overlooked. Reflect on the relationships that consistently bring you peace and those that bring turmoil. Ask yourself, are the people in your life enhancing your journey, or are they hindering it? Choosing to surround yourself with reliable, trustworthy individuals is not only a choice in favor of harmony, but also a profound step toward personal happiness and fulfillment. Remember, every person you allow into your life influences it. Choose those who respect you and your time, and you'll never regret it. 5. Avoid people who don't spend money. Are you constantly finding yourself burdened by relationships that drain more than they nourish? Today we delve into a crucial aspect of personal freedom and mental fortitude, inspired by the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants, so taught Epictetus, a sage who understood the true nature of contentment. This lesson leads us to our first sign that it might be time to reassess your connections. Avoid people who focus excessively on money, particularly those who always claim to have none. These individuals often greet others with tales of their perpetual lack of funds. While true financial hardship is certainly respectable and deserves empathy, a pattern of such claims, contrasted with a lifestyle of apparent comfort and leisure, suggests a deeper issue. This contradiction often unveils a manipulative trait. They enjoy life's pleasures without inhibition, except it seems in your presence. Here they suddenly morph into misers, possibly in hopes of evoking your sympathy or even your wallet. Stoicism teaches us the virtue of reciprocity and mutual respect in relationships. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What is not good for the swarm is not good for the bee." If someone consistently fails to reciprocate your generosity, not just materially, but emotionally, the relationship likely lacks the balance necessary for true camaraderie and longevity. In practical terms, when every encounter with a friend or family member leaves you feeling like an ATM, rather than a valued companion, it may be time to draw boundaries. It's essential to recognize that while you can offer support, a relationship should not be a one-way street where you are the only giver. This kind of dynamic can lead to resentment and emotional fatigue, which are antithetical to the Stoic pursuit of tranquility. Consider also the broader implications of such interactions in your life. Seneca wisely noted, "As is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters." If your relationships are defined by financial transactions rather than mutual support and affection, they might not be adding the value to your life that friendship should. Remember, true friends rejoice in each other's company without ulterior motives. In conclusion, as you navigate the complex web of personal relationships, seek out those who enrich your life, who provide comfort without keeping score, and who help you grow. These relationships will support you, not just during times of abundance, but crucially, during moments of genuine need. Cut the ties that bind more than they build, and you will find yourself not only lighter, but freer to pursue a life of contentment and simplicity, hallmarks of the Stoic path to happiness. This approach not only respects the wisdom of the ancients, but also applies their insights into the modern pursuit of a balanced and fulfilling life. 6. If you feel distressed when you meet a friend, avoid that friend. Have you ever left a meeting with a friend feeling worse off than when you arrived? This sense of distress is not just a fleeting emotion. It could be a significant indicator that something fundamental in the relationship has shifted. Consider this scenario. At first, spending time with a particular friend is enjoyable. Your meetings are filled with laughter and mutual understanding. However, as time progresses, you start to notice that each encounter leaves you feeling more drained than the last. This shift might not just be a coincidence. People change, and so do their paths in life. What once was a source of joy and camaraderie may evolve into something that no longer fits with who you are today. Reflect on your feelings. Do you feel a sense of dread when planning to meet them? Does the thought of spending time with them sap your energy? These feelings are clear signals. Marcus Aurelius once advised, "People exist for the sake of one another. Teach them then or bear with them." But what if the teaching and bearing become too burdensome? It's at this point you might need to ask yourself whether the value of the relationship is worth the emotional cost. Now, let's tie this insight into a modern example. Imagine you have a friend from college with whom you shared many interests, but over the years, your values and lifestyles have diverged significantly. Initially, these differences might not have seemed significant, but gradually, they've grown to a point where each meeting is shadowed by conflicting views and discomfort. This discomfort is your subconscious recognition of a deeper misalignment. In such situations, it's important to evaluate the role these relationships play in your life. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, and one of the things we certainly can manage is with whom we choose to spend our time. If a relationship consistently leaves you feeling undervalued or distressed, it might be time to reconsider its place in your life. So how should you approach this realization? First, communicate your feelings openly with the friend in question. True friendship can withstand honest discussions. However, if the pattern of distress continues, it may be necessary to distance yourself to preserve your own well-being. It's not about harboring negativity, rather it's about ensuring that your personal environment remains conducive to growth and happiness. In closing, ask yourself, are the relationships in my life lifting me up or weighing me down? Each person's presence in your life should contribute to your journey in a meaningful way. Remember, it's okay to outgrow relationships that no longer serve you well. Making such a decision doesn't reflect failure, but growth. As you continue to evolve, so too will your circle of friends and acquaintances. Choose to surround yourself with people who reflect the person you are and aspire to be. And let go of relationships that cause recurring distress. Isn't it better to cultivate connections that bring out the best in you? 7. Avoid people who take other people's worries lightly. When someone consistently belittles the worries of others, it reveals a fundamental lack of empathy and respect, which are crucial components of any healthy relationship. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher, once said, "What is not good for the swarm is not good for the bee." This metaphor resonates deeply when we consider the importance of mutual respect and understanding in our interactions. Imagine opening up to a friend about a challenge you're facing, only for them to brush it off or worse, compare it to their own seemingly greater troubles. This dismissive behavior can make you feel undervalued and misunderstood. It's vital to recognize that while the magnitude of our worries may vary, the emotional weight each of us carries is uniquely heavy. The dismissal of these feelings can erode the trust and bond between friends or family members, leading to isolation and resentment. Why then do some people take others' worries lightly? Often it stems from a self-centered viewpoint, where their own problems are magnified beyond those of anyone else. This lack of empathy is not just detrimental to those around them, but also to their personal growth. A true connection with others involves an exchange of empathy, where joys are shared and sorrows are shouldered together. As the saying goes, a joy shared is a joy doubled, and a sorrow shared is a sorrow halved. In your own life, you might notice such behaviors in subtle ways. Perhaps a friend who never seems genuinely happy for your achievements, or a family member who downplays your struggles while emphasizing their own. These are signs that might prompt you to question the depth and reciprocity of your relationships. How do these interactions make you feel? Do they lead to fulfillment and growth, or do they leave you feeling drained and unimportant? Let's consider how we might address these situations. It starts with communication, expressing our needs and expectations in relationships openly. A simple acknowledgement, a heartfelt thank you, or an honest I'm sorry can pave the way for deeper mutual respect. But what about when these efforts are met with continued indifference or even contempt? Is it not wiser to distance ourselves from those who consistently fail to acknowledge the validity of our feelings? Reflect on this. Are the relationships in your life adding to your happiness and helping you grow? Or are they depleting your emotional reserves? If it's the latter, it might be time to reconsider their place in your life. The decision to distance oneself from a friend or family member who consistently undermines your feelings is not an easy one, but it is often necessary for personal well-being. It's about respecting yourself enough to walk away from relationships that no longer serve you. As we navigate the complexities of human relationships, we must remember the importance of empathy and respect. Surround yourself with people who recognize and appreciate the full spectrum of your experiences, those who not only rejoice in your happiness, but also provide comfort in your times of need. This is not merely a preference, but a fundamental aspect of healthy, supportive relationships. In closing, ask yourself, how can I foster relationships that are rooted in mutual respect and empathy? And how will I choose to respond to those who consistently diminish my concerns? The answers to these questions can guide you toward more fulfilling interactions and a happier, more connected life. Remember, the respect we show for others' feelings reflects the respect we command for our own. Let's strive to be the kind of friend, family member, or partner who listens deeply, cares sincerely, and respects unconditionally. Tertiary. Avoid people who often quarrel and take sides. Imagine walking into a room where the tension is palpable because one person has decided to turn a minor disagreement into a full-blown quarrel. This person doesn't just stop at disagreeing. They demand that you and others side with them, putting you in an uncomfortable position. You've likely experienced this at some point, a colleague at work, a friend in your social circle, or perhaps a relative during a family gathering. It's not merely the disagreement that's draining, but their insistence on drawing everyone around into the fray. Now consider the impact of such behavior on your life. These individuals often lack emotional control and display a marked arrogance, always convinced of their righteousness, never acknowledging their own mistakes. It's a toxic cycle that not only breeds discomfort, but also disrupts any sense of peace and harmony. Why do we hesitate to distance ourselves from such negativity? Is it loyalty, fear of confrontation, or simply habit? Reflect on this. The quality of our lives often mirrors the quality of our relationships. Each interaction shapes our days, influences our thoughts, and colors our feelings. Life is far too precious to spend in constant defense or discomfort, navigating through unnecessary conflicts. Stoicism teaches us the importance of inner tranquility and the wisdom to recognize what and who contributes positively to our lives. So, what should one do if faced with such a quarrelsome friend or relative? It starts with a deep breath and a step back, assessing whether this relationship offers anything constructive or is merely a source of continual strife. Perhaps you'll find that distancing yourself might not only bring peace but could also serve as a wake-up call for the other person, highlighting the consequences of their actions. As we move forward, let's ask ourselves, how much of our peace are we willing to sacrifice for the sake of someone else's battles? Could this be the moment to set boundaries and choose tranquility over turmoil? The message here is not just about avoiding conflict, but about embracing relationships that bring joy, growth, and peace into our lives. In closing, remember that every person we choose to keep close affects our mental and emotional well-being. Let's strive to surround ourselves with those who bring out the best in us, helping us to live not in the shadow of their conflicts, but in the light of mutual respect and understanding. After all, isn't life too short for anything less? If you've watched until the end, you're truly ready for a change. Leave a comment with Stoic in your life to affirm your commitment to healthier relationships. Don't go just yet. More empowering insights await in our upcoming videos. 9. Avoid anyone who enforces your religious or political beliefs. Have you ever found yourself in a heated debate where neither side is willing to budge? It's exhausting, isn't it? The insistence on converting others to our religious or political views does not foster connection, but rather division. This kind of interaction can be draining, as it often spirals into pointless arguments that achieve nothing more than temporary victories at the expense of long-term relationships. These victories are hollow, filled with the brief satisfaction of being right. But at what cost? The price paid is often the dignity and respect of another, which can lead to resentment that festers and potentially destroys relationships. Why do we find ourselves drawn into such debates? It stems from a natural desire to align with those who share our views, which in itself is not harmful. However, problems arise when this desire turns into an imperative to convert dissenters into believers. This approach not only disrespects the inherent diversity among individuals, but also ignores the basic tenet that true persuasion is a product of attraction rather than compulsion. Reflect on this. When was the last time you changed a deeply held belief because someone argued you into submission? Chances are, never. People are more likely to be influenced by examples of lived principles and open, respectful dialogues. As Epictetus pointedly said, it is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. When we assume the role of the all-knowing, we close off all avenues of mutual understanding and respect. In navigating discussions on sensitive topics, the aim should not be to win, but to understand and to share perspectives that enrich and broaden our collective understanding. The Stoic approach would advocate for a discourse where each party respects the other's right to their viewpoint, regardless of how different it may be from one's own. This is not just politeness. It is a profound respect for the other as an individual, which is foundational to any meaningful relationship. So, how should one handle interactions with someone adamant about enforcing their beliefs? It begins with setting boundaries, communicating clearly that while you respect their right to their opinions, a mutual respect for your beliefs is essential. In cases where boundaries are repeatedly crossed, it might become necessary to reconsider the dynamics of the relationship. Choosing to distance oneself from constant conflict or coercion is not an act of aggression, but an act of self-respect and preservation. In conclusion, remember that the strength of a relationship lies not in uniformity, but in the ability to embrace diversity. Let us strive to engage with one another in a manner that respects our differences and upholds our dignity. This is the path to not only wiser, but also more fulfilling interactions. As we continue our interactions with others, let us ask ourselves, are we seeking to understand, or are we merely striving to be understood? In this reflection lies the key to truly enriching connections. As we conclude today's exploration of the 9 Stoic signs that you should end every contact, even if it's your family or a friend, I hope you found the insights helpful and thought-provoking. Remember, prioritizing your peace of mind and personal growth is essential, and sometimes, making tough decisions about your relationships is a step toward living a more stoic and harmonious life. If you appreciated the content, please give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who might also benefit, and don't forget to subscribe to Stoic in Your Life. Also, hit the notification bell to ensure you never miss our upcoming videos. We're here to help you navigate life's challenges with wisdom and courage. Thank you for watching, and keep striving for personal excellence and peace.